Oh god, it's so pointy! I am legitimately fearful for my eyes with this figure. Do you have any idea how many times I almost stabbed myself right in the retina with the fucking 2-inch thorns protruding from this guy in multiple directions? This guy is so sharp and jagged in so many places, and the joints are so strong. How do I put this? Have you ever thought to yourself, God, I really hate my hands. I wish they could feel like they were on fire and being stabbed at the same time. No, you say. Maybe this figure's not for you. I do not recommend this figure for kids, the clumsy, the inattentive, or people who don't despise their hands for daring to give them the ability to hold everything they've ever loved. After a good long while, I'm finally doing a topical masterpiece-esque review again. It's Lemon Tree's Purple Potato. For those of you who don't know what that is, it's Shockwave if Shockwave turned into Galvatron's ship, the Revenge. And I'm betting most of you didn't even know that it had a name. I have to say, oh baby, this thing looks sick as fuck! He's a little long in the legs, but the look's not really harmed by it. They're just short enough to not negatively impact it. If anything, it makes him come across more dynamic. It's amazing just how much this looks like Shockwave while getting basically every detail wrong. If I had to say, it's like a mix between his G1 look, the Fall of Cybertron one, and the Hearts of Steel design. The ultimate result is a figure that looks like it's a threat to all known life in the galaxy, except for everything below the knee. Kind of hard to look threatening when you're wearing bell-bottoms or giant, wretched early 2000s leg warmers, and you have pathetic-looking feet. Interestingly enough, they seem to have made this figure with as many symmetrical parts as possible, so the hands actually have an extra port where you can plug in the thumb, and his thighs have an extra set of transformation hinges you don't use because they are meant to let them produce the toys with fewer unique parts. Can't say it seems like it will save them any money in the long run considering all the extra assembly it will take. Gotta love that techno chest with its clear plastic and cyber details. Fists look goddamn spooky on this guy. Just a sinister set of skeleton hands meant for a mad scientist. And is it just me, or am I being a touch more poetic than normal? Fully articulated, missing only one knuckle per finger and thumb. I do have to say I worry about these fingers breaking. These are truly tiny parts, and likely very fragile, so I treat them with a degree of fear and reverence like my own eyeballs handling this figure. But, what is this hands nonsense? Shockwave doesn't have hands, he has hand. Rocket punch! That's more like it. Shockwave needs his punch dildo. Unfortunately, this can't stay on during transformation, so if you use the correct part, you are committing yourself to parts forming this purple potato. I don't know why saying potato makes me want to do it in a Russian accent, and am I the only one who thinks that this should have been called Dr. Potato? Anyways, the cable attaching his gun to his backpack is strange. For starters, it's a spring, like a literal spring, and a nice one at that. Secondly, it comes with an adapter peg that's supposed to let you attach it to his backpack, but it attaches in the exact same place without the peg, so why? Then the spring has to slot over a too wide peg, and that just doesn't feel good. He also has 2 punch dildos for some reason, so if you ever wanted Shockwave to hate life while typing, you can do that to him. He comes with blast effects, and they are yet more stuff that wants to strip all the flesh off your hands. These are hard plastic, and they have 17, I counted, 17 sharp points. I should be wearing gloves to handle this figure. You already saw me use these for the rocket punch, but they also plug into the barrel of his gun, and they are sized correctly to work with siege ports. They even have smaller pegs that let them interact with the current line's Legend figures. I'm totally going to take this part and use it on the Legends Megatron that's coming out so he can have the lightsaber he used to fight Optimus. Was this intentional? Cause if it was, good on you guys, Lemon Tree. I feel like they could retool this figure into Prime Soundwave because you can give him the incredibly long forearms. Man, Shockwave really knows how to T-pose to establish dominance. And I've saved the best for last. This guy has electronics. You can see that he's got one in his head, and 2 I'm not going to bother showing you in each thruster. They take hearing aid batteries, like the ones that you could inhale and are pennies per battery. The crazy thing is, these are just electronics. They don't have any buttons, so how do you use them? Well, he comes with this extra piece. It's got a magnet and a peg hole that fits the fists and the blast effects. I thought this was so you could maybe attach the fist to a part of him when you weren't using it, but no, that's not what this is for. Instead, you touch it to his eye and voila. Oh, that's cool. But we're not done yet. You can tap this to the back of his thrusters as well, and oh, that's tasty looking. He's like his own little light show. The cool thing is, you don't actually need this piece. To make the transformation a little easier, they included some magnets in his arms near the elbows, so you can make him do the anime cry to turn on or off these lights. Kind of hard to use on the backpack though, so it's better to have the little extra piece. I don't know how touching a magnet to electronics isn't frying them. Because the fist can attach to the tool, it can stick to the cable on his gun, so I like to think the gun fires punches. Pew! You might have noticed I haven't talked about the head, and that's because, what do you want me to say, it's Shockwave's head. It's a bit different than normal, but it's still his head. The most notable thing about it is that when the eye is not lit up, it's purple instead of yellow. His head doesn't quite close all the way for the electronics, and there's no locking tab, so grabbing the head to move it will often end up with you looking at his brain. Posability on this guy is really good, but his joints are a monster to deal with. The only thing that moves like they should are the elbows. The shoulders are on some fierce ratchets, and so are the hips, but the knees. Oh, don't get me started on the knees. These are the second strongest joints I've ever encountered. These are strong to the point where they could probably hold up 2 masterpiece-scaled combiners. Listen to these things. They are on metal ratchets, and they are made of folded panels. I am so scared these are going to break. Just one day, he's going to snap in half below the knee. Anyways, aside from those problems, he's got great posing. He's got forward butterfly, shoulders that go all the way up, and then keep going, elbows that completely close, back crunch, hella ab crunch, normal 90 knees, but his feet are on like 4 different joints. This guy rivals the Magic Square Light of Freedom and is easily in the top 2 of posability in my entire collection. Though, you can't really have his boot cut turned and the knee bent at the same time. That's a square peg in a precisely sized square hole that you are trying to fit diagonally. But it's fine because the feet make up for it. So, in robot mode, this guy absolutely slays it. This guy makes every masterpiece look bad. Transformation. It's complex, but not too complex, so it could have been a really fun one if it weren't for two things. One, the joints are stupid fucking strong, making it a pain to do any step of this. And two, the tolerances are hell. Put simply, this thing is too fucking tight. I actually had to cut off some tabs on this thing because they were so strong I physically did not have the strength to separate them. And I had to use a knife to sneak in between the two halves and get them apart. I thought maybe it would get easier after the first time. Nope, I had to use the knife every time, so screw it. Hello clippers, bye bye plastic. Now, with two of the three tabs cut off, it's an incredibly strong connection. It's just not an insane, ungodly one. So yeah, transformation really fucking sucks. Which is sad because if it weren't for the joints and the tolerances, I think this would actually be a very fun and smart one. But let me tell you what, I can't fault the result. Holy shit! With no parts forming, they have turned Shockwave exactly into Galvatron's ship. It's flawless, it's gorgeous, and you might notice I'm holding it weird because it doesn't hold together at all! The whole thing is held in the middle by this single, only, weak, shitty tab on the entire thing. This is a critical, unbelievable flaw, and it completely ruins the otherwise amazing mode. I went around watching other people's videos on this figure, and this seems to only be a me problem, but it is so critical. I cannot in good conscience fail to warn people about it. In robot mode, this is an incredible masterpiece substitute for Shockwave. It is probably better than the MP in all ways, and it's actually cheaper. So if you want a masterpiece robot mode Shockwave, I can't recommend this enough. But transforming it is a bitch, and the all mode would absolutely be worth that if this one single part didn't suck. If other copies of this figure hold together better, this is a high recommend from me, provided you are experienced enough to handle the transformation. You might also want to not think about putting on all the pointy bits. Addendum. After I was done making the video, I figured out a partial solution to my problem with the alt mode. While yes, the top not pegging in properly is still an issue, there was a separate one I was failing to notice. It turns out the peg holes on the bottom of the ship were too narrow. Anytime I tried to peg the bottom of the ship in, they'd slowly squeeze the pegs back out. So I carved out a little material and really forced the pegs into place. It doesn't hold together great, but it does hold together at all now. So, consider my issues with the alt mode mostly resolved, and the figure coming much more highly recommended from me. Still, I don't think you want this if you aren't at least respectably versed in more complex transformations, and I still recommend you probably don't want to put on all the sharp bits, at least not the ones on the engines. I am not kidding when I say I fear these. Not at all. And that's not half of what I have to say, but it's enough of what I have to say. And if you enjoyed this video, then please like, comment, and subscribe. And if you'd like to take it a step further, then please share this video with any friend you think may be interested. I hope you'll enjoy listening to me waste your time.